Hi, I'm Ben, and turns out this system has identified too. For those of you who have been with the channel for a little bit, you'll know that me and Alex are taking our first dives into Pathfinder 2E, and something that I love is that Paizo is always coming out with new content. The most recent addition being the Lost Omens Ancestry guide, which just came out last week. This book included all sorts of new ancestries, heritages, new feats for the old ancestries, and I absolutely love all the new options available. And so does the community. I have seen all sorts of awesome new builds on Reddit. People are playing Flesh Warp Tieflings or Ifrit Leshies, and I love the flexibility that Paizo is so willing to give its players. They also took a lot of very interesting mechanical leaps with the system, including ancestries like the Sprite, which is the first tiny ancestry. And one heritage that actually really caught my eye was the Beastkin. When I first heard about the Beastkin, I was really unsure how they were going to pull it off because it is very animal amorphous. You could be a wasp beastkin or an eagle beastkin or a T-Rex beastkin, and they all fit into this heritage. I'll admit that did get me a little worried. I was worried that perhaps making it such a broad heritage would water it down. I mean, my experience is with the Genasi in 5th edition, and they fit all 4 elemental types into one race, and each one kind of suffers for it, only getting minute differences from each other one. And so to hear that Paizo was going even broader, I was very interested about how exactly they were going to mechanically pull that off. Before I get into the actual mechanics, though, I do want to talk a bit about the lore, because it's really, really interesting. Once again, they leave the Beastkin to be a super flexible heritage. It could be that your ancestors are lycanthropes, or it could be that you were transformed by the tricks of a fae. Maybe even you started as an animal and were given sapient sentience. I think Paizo did a really good job of giving these interesting options and challenging and inspiring you to come up with a really creative and unique backstory. And they're able to accomplish this while still sticking to their setting. There's text in here about the Ulfin Beastkin, whose abilities are seen as a badge of honor. Ulfin warriors actually take pride in fighting alongside Beastkin, totally flipping the narrative of this heritage on its head. That being said, this is the only rare heritage in Pathfinder 2E. Personally, and this is just my DM philosophy, I don't really see that mattering too much unless you are playing in the Lost Omens setting, and even then I would be pretty loath to tell a player that they can't play Beastkin because it's so rare. More so, I see this as a useful metric as a DM as far as how often NPCs should come up who are Beastkin and their significance to the story being told. There is one important caveat though to consider if a player says they want to play a Beastkin. If you want to take the Beastkin versatile heritage, you have to have the humanoid trait. For most ancestries, this will not matter at all, but there are 2 distinct outliers, and that is Sprite and Leshy. This to me is a really weird distinction. I mean, if you can have a Dampier Leshy, then why can't you have a Beastkin Leshy? That just seems like a strange choice for me. And I also think Sprite is weird as well. I mean, there is already text in the lore description for Beastkin about how their transformation could be a trick of the Fae, so why couldn't a Fae creature have been tricked and be turned into a half animal? I don't know. Maybe there's a mechanical reason that I'm not seeing, but I don't necessarily believe that's the case. Now, the main ability you gain from being a Beastkin is the Change Shape ability. It is a 1 action with the Concentrate, Polymorph, Primal, and Transmutation traits. Now, when you take this action, you can switch between your human and your hybrid form. These are both persistent and specific forms, so you can't be a wasp beastkin 1 second and then switch into a wolf beastkin the next. Most beastkin stay in their hybrid form by default, which looks like a mix between their human form and their inherent animal. Now, when they're in this hybrid form, they gain a jaws attack that is appropriate for the creature that is their inherent animal, so fangs for a bat or mandibles for a bug, and that deals 1d4 piercing damage. It has the agile, unarmed, and finesse traits, and it's in the brawling group. Personally, I feel like this was a really nice way to do it because it does allow you to flavor it however you need, and I can't think of a single animal that you could be trying to be that doesn't have some kind of bite attack or something that you couldn't flavor that way. While I'm sure there's someone out there who is dying to play their cow beastkin, I'm sure a DM would be able to reflavor that piercing damage as your horns instead, just as an example. The bite itself isn't too nuts. I'm glad it has the traits it does so that you can mess around with many different builds. You can be a monk who uses the bite, or a rogue, or a fighter, or a champion, or what have you. But the damage itself isn't too impressive. I think Paizo has definitely reeled back after they gave goblins a 1d8 bite attack, and are now being a little more conservative about their natural weapons. Moving right along to the feat options you get for being a beastkin, there are 3 options at first level. Those are Animal Senses, Critter Shape, and Quick Shape. Starting off with Animal Senses, this is super straightforward. You gain a sense that would be available to your inherent animal. This could be dark vision, low light vision, or an imprecise scent out to 30 feet. You cannot pick dark vision with this feat unless you already have low light vision. And furthermore, if your inherent animal doesn't have that specific sense, then you cannot take this feat with that one in mind. This feat to me is kind of weak sauce. I mean, it might be something that I would take if I have to take an Ancestry feat and I don't have any other options. This could be a nice addition. But in a lot of cases, I don't see this being your go-to at level 1. Of course, if you are a human beastkin, then there is value in low light vision. If your game is going to be entirely underground, then I do see the value of this. But in that case, since this is a heritage, I think it would be much more valuable to pick an ancestry that already has low light vision or even dark vision already available, and then be able to use this first level feat for something a little bit more versatile. However, the caveat I will give is for imprecise scent, as there is a lot of value in that if you know you have a DM who likes monsters sneaking up on you. This may make you the annoying player who asks what they can smell around every corner, but I do think this is very useful because in a radius of 30 feet, you have a rough idea of if a creature is there. So I do see this as a very useful ability for avoiding being entirely blindsided by an ambush, or being able to maybe know that there's a creature up ahead and be able to prepare for that. But as far as low light vision and dark vision are concerned, I don't really see the value of those. Next up is Critter Shape. Once per hour, you can cast the first level version of Pest form, which lasts for 10 minutes. The caveat being you can only transform into the form of your inherent animal. After the 10 minutes are up, you have to wait an hour to cast it again. And if your inherent animal is usually larger than tiny, you instead transform into a younger version of that creature. And unlike Pest form, you can transform into a creature with a fly speed with this feat. However, you do not gain that fly speed. Considering the later feats that this heritage gets, I think this is a really, really great start to the sort of journey of being a Beastkin and transforming into your animal form. However, there are a couple hiccups. The bird form especially is really tough to rationalize, and I suppose they do kind of explain it. They say that you're transforming into a younger version, so perhaps you're a little bird who can't fly yet. I do think getting this spell for free once every hour has a lot of value, though. There's a lot of ability to scout with that or get out of sticky situations. And I really see the out of combat value of taking this feat. And the last first level feat is Quick Feat, which is a free action with the trigger of rolling for initiative. And this allows you to change shape into your human or hybrid form or any other form you'd be able to turn into with that feature. This feat is most helpful to those that have a lot of prep that they need to do in combat, and to those who have other forms to be in besides their hybrid or human forms. Because those forms can do pretty much anything that they're trying to do as they're traversing on their day-to-day lives, you can pretty much always be in your hybrid form without too much worry, despite maybe situations where you're in a city where they don't like Beastkin, so you have to hide. While this feat is nice, and I do think the power level is that of a first level feat, I don't see myself taking this as my first level feat. I see myself taking this much later when I've already got a couple different forms or things that I can do with my change shape ability, and I want to be able to do those outside of the action economy so I can do my other things, whether it's raging or whatever I want to do. Moving on to 5th level feats, the first one is Animalistic Resistance. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus on saves against disease and poison. Pathfinder does have the benefit of having a long list of poisons and diseases for the DM to choose from if they want to use them. But you could also be in a game with a DM who doesn't use a single disease or poison the entire time. This feat, especially to me, is kind of a letdown. This one doesn't feel too much more powerful than anything you would have access to at first level, and it would get a pass from me. The other 5th level Beastkin feat is Greater Animal Senses. Your senses have advanced to match those of your inherent animal aspect. You can choose from either imprecise echolocation or imprecise tremor sense out to 30 feet. You can only choose one of these senses if your animal form has that sense. A note here is that you can take this feat multiple times, either taking a different sense or moving an imprecise sense you already have to a precise sense. If you are playing a bat or a dolphin Beastkin, then this is absolutely the feat to take to get the flavor you are trying to achieve. And I will admit, I do like that you can upgrade this to a precise sense. I think that is really cool. It is a shame that that means to get there, you have to wait until 9th level to do so. And another trouble I see here is that these are the only 2 feats that you're getting at 5th level. So if you didn't choose to play a dolphin or a bat or a mole Beastkin, then your only option really is Animalistic Resistances, which, like I said, isn't very good unless you take one of the feats from earlier. And perhaps that was their intent, but I do wish that specifically Animalistic Resistances was just a different feat, something that still gives you something nice and flavorful if you aren't one of those specific creatures who would have an echolocation or a tremor sense. Tremor sense Beastkin are weird. It's like moles, worms. Ew. Moving on to 9th level feats, there are 2 options, the first being Animal Magic. When you gain this feat, you can cast Animal Messenger, Calm Emotions, animals only, or Speak with Animals, each as second level primal innate spells once per day. They use either your spell DC or your class DC, whichever is higher. This is an incredibly flavorful feat showing your deeper connection with the animal world flourishing, but I feel like it comes way too late. 9th level, you are already way above the level of the majority of animals you are going to meet. So your DM is really going to have to work in those higher level animals if you're going to use something like calm emotions or speak with them. And that being said, sure, there are plenty of shenanigans that you can get up to with speak with animals, but I do kind of wish that this was in the 5th level feat option, especially since I do not see a way you are going to see this super consistently. The other 9th level Beastkin feat is Pack Tactics. As long as a creature is adjacent to you and 2 other allies, they are considered flat-footed against you. I think this feat is really, really cool. It does have a noticeable mechanical benefit for when you just can't quite get into that flanking position. And also it shows the connection you have with your animalistic side of yourself. I think that's really, really neat. The next tier of feats is 13th level, the first of which is Dire Form. When you are in your hybrid form, you gain the benefits of Enlarge. What that means is your size grows to large, your reach increases by 5 feet, and you gain the Clumsy 1 condition. Furthermore, your attacks deal +2 damage. This is actually the feat that inspired me to do this Identify. I think this is so cool that you can permanently be a creature of large size if you so choose. You have to wait till 13th level, but I think this is a totally appropriate benefit for the level. And if you are trying to be something like a bearkin or gorillakin, and you want to be this huge hulking beast or a T-Rexkin, this totally works for that. The design of it is so elegant too that they just used a spell they already had instead of trying to give it a specific ruling all its own. This feat is a big win for me. The other 13th level feat for Beastkin is Gift of the Moon. At 13th level, you can cast Moon Frenzy as a 5th level spell. You do this as a primal innate spell once per day. At 15th level, this increases to a 6th level Moon Frenzy, and at 17th level, it is a 6th level Moon Frenzy, but you gain extra temporary hit points, as well as an increased weakness to silver. And at 20th level, it is a 10th level casting of Moon Frenzy. This feat is a very interesting capstone for those Beastkin who want to be experts at using their natural weapons. This increases the damage of your natural weapons by a great amount and makes them actually viable in comparison to other weapons you have. This will increase your Fang weapon to 2d8 instead of the 1d4 that it has been up to this point. This also gives you the ability to share part of your lycanthropy, which I think is such a cool flavor and ability. And if you have other marshals in the party, they may also find advantage in this. There is a lot to gain from Moon Frenzy. Increased speed, temporary hit points, as long as your enemies don't have silvered weapons, that is. I think this is a very interesting addition to the Beastkin chassis, but I do wish there was a feat leading up to this, a sort of middle ground between your chain shape bite attack and being able to do Moon Frenzy at 13th level. That's a long time to wait to get the value out of your choice if you're trying to make a character that fights bestially with their bite attack. Furthermore, you can only do this once per day, so you need to be really careful about when you activate this ability, especially since it's a 2-action spell on top of that, so that can make this really tough to use effectively in combat. Besides all of these things, I think the feat itself is really good for the level it's at. I do just wish there was something kind of leading up to it. The last 2 feats of this heritage are at 17th level, and the first is Animal Shape. When you gain this feat, you choose either aerial form, animal form, or dinosaur form. When you change into your animal form, you gain the effects of a 5th level casting of your chosen form. All of this except you can only change into your inherent animal form, and you can do so indefinitely if you wish. Furthermore, if you have the Critter Shape feat, you can now use the Pest Form spell as a 4th level casting, and that is indefinite as well. This is an incredibly versatile spell, and it's exactly what those bird beastkin were waiting for all of these levels. This allows you to indefinitely scout around an area or travel as the bird flies, or otherwise transform into that giant T-Rex or whatever you have been building up to this point. This is a great capstone feat for this heritage. It has power, versatility, and a whole lot of flavor to it. However, once again, just like Gift of the Moon, I really wish that there was some intermediary feat that bridged the gap between Critter Form and this, especially for players who are playing a bird beastkin. They aren't going to see any advantage to that until their 17th level. I think something like a limited casting of this at 9th level would have been absolutely appropriate, as right now, one of the best options you could pick is a bat beastkin who can take echolocation, can be a critter and not worry too much about it, and can also, at this level, gain aerial form and a fly speed. Furthermore, their dire bat form just sounds so cool. And because of this disparity, there is a very clear line of thinking in the optimizer in me in which animals are the best to pick, so that you can see the value of that choice throughout all those levels. And not a lot of animals actually make the cut. There will be a very similar caveat to the other 17th level ancestral feat. That feat is Animal Swiftness. Your speed increases by 5 feet, and if your inherent animal has a fly, climb, or swim speed, you can gain that speed. It is equal to your normal walking speed, but you only gain it when you are in your hybrid form. If your inherent animal doesn't have one of those speeds, your speed instead increases by 10 feet. So I do see why this is a 17th level feat. Giving a permanent fly speed is a big deal and can break parts of the game. So I do see the balance there. However, if I were, let's say I was this dolphin beastkin, and I waited until 17th level to gain a swim speed, I would not be seeing the value of my choice for the majority of playtime. This is another feat that I think could have been broken up into a limited version at a lower level and then the permanent version at this level. So there feels like there's that sense of growth instead of, oh, I'm 17th level, I can swim as much as I want now. And furthermore, if your inherent animal doesn't have a climb, swim, or fly speed, I would see absolutely no reason why you would take this over the other feat, because gaining 10 extra feet in movement is not worth a 17th level feat. So at the end of the day, I think the Beastkin absolutely has some fantastic flavor in it. And I'm really, really glad that players who want to play a lycanthrope or a half insert animal here have that option, but I do wish there was just a little bit more work in the progression of its feats so that we could see the growth of these characters over time as they embrace those animalistic sides of themselves. Right now, it feels a little jilted as things kind of come online out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden at the end of the road you get to accomplish your character goal just out of nowhere. That being said, there are some really fascinating feats in there. Pest form can be very valuable. Dire form is really good. Pack tactics can have interesting implications, and Gift of the Moon can be interesting as well, despite its limitations. So at the end of the day, I feel a little conflicted about the Beastkin. In its current form, I see one clear path of feats that you should definitely take, and I see only a handful of animals that will get you there. However, Paizo is so eager to change their game, and they are so eager to add feats to heritages and ancestries. That's what Lost Omens Ancestry Guide was all about. So I would love to see another book like this and see them take another crack at Beastkin and see what else they could add. How do you guys feel about Beastkin? Let me know in the comments down below. This is a little bit different than our other identifies. I hopped systems, but I was just too excited not to. How do you guys feel about that? Should we do other Pathfinder identifies? I would love to hear your feedback so that we know that this is still the content you want to see. And if it is, please let us know in the comments down below the next Pathfinder identify you would like to see. If you like this video, consider liking it. And if you like the kind of content we do here on this channel, please consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed to the channel and you want to go that extra mile to support us, you could consider buying us a coffee. We have more information about that in the links down below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you on your next short rest.